Coach Ang, and we are here for another episode of A Little Perspective, the podcast where we talk to different humans with different types of disabilities and allies and advocacy workers to be able to really share awareness of various conditions and situations, because we believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So super excited to be here today with my co-host Samyuktha and a really special guest who I have been Facebook friends with for a while, and we have become really close actually, and I'm thrilled to have her on here today. So Samyuktha, hello, how are you, my friend?
Hello, my dear Angela. I am doing great. I'm happy to be here on this Sunday afternoon with you all, with Angela, and with our new podcast guest, Alison Amarnick. She is originally from Philadelphia and currently lives in St. Petersburg, Florida. She's a nanny, and she is also a blogger on caringbridge.com. It's a site where people share all about their health journey. So, Alison, thank you so much for joining us. Could you introduce yourself? Say hello to everybody.
Of course. Hi, my name is Alison. I was born and raised in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and now I live in St. Petersburg, Florida, near Tampa. And I work as a nanny, and I'm out here living my best life.
What is that?
I love it.
Yes.
I'm loving the weather. I actually lived in Boulder, Colorado for a few years before I moved here. And I'm just so happy there's no snow.
Samyuktha's in Chicago, and you and I are down here on the South, loving it up.
Yeah, I get jealous every time. Every time I talk to Angela, it's sunny, it's warm, it's like, what is snow? So I'm ready for the spring. I'm ready for it.
Oh, goodness. Alison, we are so excited to have you on here today. Your topic is one that I don't feel is covered very much. And so I always love being at the head of the line. And so I'm excited to be able to talk about this. And it's also something that has recently affected someone in my inner circle. And so we're going to talk about your cancer diagnosis and your journey through treatments and such with it. And recently, someone who's like a grandmother to my kids and like a mom to me had her cancer come back. And it was a real rough emotional time for me as, you know, a member of her family. But, you know, so I really can't even imagine what it's like to be the patient. And so I'm thrilled that you're willing to talk about it. It can feel very sensitive, you know, to be able to ask questions about this kind of situation. But I and Samyuktha and I both know and value awareness and questions and how questions can bring awareness. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about your diagnosis and, you know, your wellness?
Sure. So it started out in 2017. I noticed that I was bleeding, and something wasn't right. And I went to Planned Parenthood. That was just what I felt comfortable with. I always supported Planned Parenthood, and I got a Pap smear, and they said that it was like an infection. They didn't know what it was at the time. They just said, you know, your uterus or that area it just looks infected. So we're going to do another exam, a deeper exam called I don't even know how to say it. Polycopsy. Usually they just say a copo or poco. Yeah. And so basically it's a deeper, Pap smear where they get in a little more intense, and they can laser off some parts for biopsy. And it turned out that it was indeed cervical cancer. I lived in Boulder, Colorado. My parents still in Philadelphia all by myself. And I was in absolute shock. My first thought was, oh my God, am I going to die? And thankfully, it was caught pretty early, but I did need a hysterectomy. They took out my cervix, my uterus, and a few, oh my gosh, I'm like, it's called, lymph nodes. There we go, lymph nodes. But I still had my ovaries, but I always like to say they're sunny side eggs at this point. And after that, I had something called a laparoscopic surgery where they go in robotically and they remove it. My parents flew down, of course, to be with me. I have the most amazing family. I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that my parents were there to be with me the entire time for recovery and everything like that. And continued on with my life, checkups, everything like that. I ended up moving to Florida. I had enough of the snow and was working a job, and just an annual routine, scans, it came back. I had a reoccurrence. So my parents said, that's it. You're coming home with us in Philadelphia. We're going through Penn Medicine. And I lived with them for 1.5 years. And I went through intense chemotherapy, radiation, which, oh boy. And that's actually when I started to do my caring bridge, because I needed to get it out. I needed to get this information out. I wanted to help other people who were possibly going through the same thing. I wanted people to not be afraid of a pap smear, because it could save their life as it saved mine. I always say I owe my life to Planned Parenthood. It could have been way worse. And I finished up everything and was literally ready to go back, maybe a few weeks to go back to Florida, which I owned a condo at this point. And they found something again, and it had kind of spread to my something called a peritoneum, which is the lining of your stomach and like where your cavity is. And so I'm getting the best help at Moffitt Cancer Center. My doctor is the head doctor. He is incredible. And right now I'm actually going through chemotherapy, but it's a different kind of chemotherapy. It's not as intense. My hair is still growing back. I do something called a cold cap because it does cause thinning. And I said, I have waited this long for my hair to grow back. We are not doing this again.
And it grew back curly, right? Like, wasn't it straight before?
It was always wavy.
Yeah.
But it was baby fine. It came back with a vengeance.
Yeah.
It came back thick and ringlets.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gorgeous.
Thank you so much. Right now it's still drying. That Florida humidity.
Yeah.
And so, I haven't updated my blog in a while, but, I really hope that people, get benefit from it, of my experience. It's, of course, not every post is going to be sunshine and Skittles, but, I tend to have a sense of humor and a lightness about it, a positivity about it.
You definitely have an incredible sense of humor, and you're so young, and typically when we think of cancer, we think of old people. It's obviously the most common, but definitely not the only. And so you have such a lovely disposition, and a positive disposition, that I'm sure that not most people that you encounter don't even realize that you're what you're going through. Can I ask why they didn't opt for radiation this time?
Once they do radiation, I don't think they can do it again. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think my body. I don't remember the exact reason, but I don't think my body would be able to handle it anymore.
And the reason I asked is because Mimi, they're not doing radiation with her this time either, and she's so glad, because it was that was so brutal for her last time.
Oh, it's horrible, especially when it's in the cervical area.
Yeah,
because I'm gonna be really honest for your listeners.
Yeah.
What goes into the cervical area goes out. I could not leave the house very often.
Yeah.
You cannot be without 5 feet within a bathroom because
Yeah.
it's that area. So think about
Yeah.
a laser coming in, it's going to go out the other way. But
Mhm.
it was worth it. And, thank goodness for living with my parents at the time, and they took care of me. My
Mhm.
mom took me to my appointments. My parents came with me to my scans and hearing the results. I'm so
Yeah.
lucky, isn't even the word I have to have the support that I have.
Yeah, and you are, and I see your family, and I hope that I get to meet all of you one day.
You will.
But
You
I
will.
think that I agree. I know we will. But I think that, I'm a big believer in karma, and I feel like, while yes, you do have a wonderful family and you're lucky, but you definitely put more of that out into the world as well. So you are just reaping what you sow,
Thank
truly.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. So what do you think is the scariest part of finding out the cancer came back again?
I was all set for my life. I said, okay, this is it. We're we're going back to Florida. And by the way, let me say, about maybe 2 months after treatment was done, lockdown happened. I can't catch a break. For COVID, lockdown happened. The pandemic happened. But I was always told, make plans, God laughs. um I was all ready to go back and have a job. I was ready to start dating and live my glorious Florida life. And surprise. But knowing that Moffitt Cancer Center is, I believe, the top 10 in the country, and my doctor is one of the head doctors, and they're always coming out with new things. There's always coming out. Before I even did the chemotherapy, I did immunotherapy, which didn't work, but we had something else. We had another plan. If this chemo ends up not working, something else will be available. They're always coming out with new things.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like because you had already beat it once, you felt like optimistic about this second go round? Like, you know what? I am a badass, and I know I am, and I'm going to kick this thing's ass this time.
I mean, so another doctor that I had before I switched, actually, and that's also really important. You need to find a doctor that you feel comfortable with. I had a doctor I did not feel comfortable. They were very nice. It didn't jive with me, with my sensitivity. And they said, this is something that is incurable. You're just always going to have to deal with this. And I believe they're gonna find a way to eradicate it. I believe that. And not every day is positive and I'm gonna beat this. There's some really, really, really scary, dark days. There are days that I get really scary thoughts. And when that happens, I call my friends, I call my parents. I am going back into, to have a therapist. There are different ways to help. And those thoughts are normal. If every single day was a day of, oh, today's a great day, we're going to be just, then I think that would be denial. But, you just, every day you keep getting up and say, today's a new day. Today is a day where it's going to be a great day, and I'm going to live just like a normal person.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. That's such it as much as hard as it can be. It's just like the way that you exemplify just getting up and pushing through, and like you said, like you're very honest and like saying like, yes, you will have those dark days, but you will also have like those like better days, and that's like really important for other people to hear. Can you talk more about like how important it is for women to get tested for cervical cancer, because I feel like that is such like
Good
a top
question.
yeah,
Yes.
that's a topic that like people feel like there are women that want to get tested but they're unsure about it, or just like, or they think like, oh, they have a lot of time, because there was so many different opinions about it, but because you've been, through the thick of it, like how
absolutely. So I actually, how it started out was that I had HPV, which, let's be honest, everybody and their mom and their mom's dog gets HPV. It's not an uncommon thing. It happens. But it is so important to get those checkups, those woman checkups, because you think I'm fine, I'm healthy, there's no need to, it's uncomfortable. You have no idea. And then the next thing you know, that HPV can lead to cervical cancer. And that is what happened to me. And I was too old for the vaccination. So, it was, I'm 39 now. I don't do the math in 2017, but is it uncomfortable? Of course it's uncomfortable. So is the dentist. It's uncomfortable, but it's your health and you need to do it. It could save your life. So just suck it up, and it's worth your life to be uncomfortable for 15 minutes.
Right. And not knowing doesn't change it. Like if you ignore it, it doesn't make it go away.
It can make it worse. Thankfully, I
Absolutely.
caught it. Thankfully, I caught it in very early stages. I think I was stage 1B1. I'm not sure what the B is, but the exact information's on my blog.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, so I don't remember every single detail, but I'm really glad that I caught it really early, because it could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. What do you think is a common misconception people have about cancer patients that you would like to correct?
Let me get my scroll out. I have had people, and this isn't to say don't be afraid to ask me questions, please. It's just common sense. I have had people ask me how long I have left to live. I said, how long do you have left to live?
That's a good comeback.
Thank you. I mean, just because cancer is not a one size fits all disease. Is it working? Okay. I don't consider myself sick. People ask, say, oh, are you sick? I say, I don't consider myself sick. I feel like a normal human being that's just going through a little bit more obstacles and has a little bit more, I have to be a little bit more careful because I'm extremely immunocompromised. I have more doctor's appointments. I think one thing that was tough was when I was, going through interviews as a nanny, I didn't want to tell them that why I couldn't work on Fridays until I met them, because I didn't want them to tell them immediately I have cancer, I don't even like to say I have cancer. I like to say I'm going through cancer, because I don't want to, it's not mine.
I love that. Love
Thank you.
that.
Thank you. I don't tell them until the next interview, until we're in person, so they can see that I'm not going to call out every day. I function just fine. I'm work hard just as anybody else. I'm a normal person. I don't look sick. I don't look like I have cancer. It's just something that we're dealing with. Everybody has something. Some people have how do you say the word?
Endometriosis or something?
Thank you. Yes. I don't know why I'm having a tough time with words today.
Oh no, those are hard words, complicated words.
Yeah, everybody has certain things. Some people are gluten intolerant. Doesn't mean that they look like they're sick. You wouldn't even know. And this is just my journey. And I want to break the stigma that we're not all sick. We're not all going to die. We're not all bald. I was at one point, but not all chemo is the same. And it's everybody's going through different things. And the best thing you can do is just be there for each other. Some people don't know what to say or what to do. I have had that situation where people just stop talking to me because they didn't know how to handle it. And that's the worst thing that you can do. Even if you say, hey, I don't know what to say to you, but I'm holding space for you. That's the best thing that you can do.
So often people are uncomfortable when somebody else is uncomfortable and then we want to fix it. And then if we can't fix it, then we want to avoid it because it makes us uncomfortable. But what we have to realize is that as friends, family members, etc., it's our job to be uncomfortable for somebody else that we love. And it's important to just sit in silence if that's what is needed. Because you're not the first person I've heard say that they lost all their friends, well, not all their friends, but lost a chunk of friends when they had cancer or were going through cancer because of that, because they don't know what to say. They don't know how to fix it. They don't know how to make things better. They can't deal with the discomfort, all those things. And so I really want to encourage the listeners to hold, like you said, I love how you said that, hold space for others. And you are so good at holding space for me, Alison. And I'm so grateful for that. And just really just saying, I'm here. If you need me, I'm sending you love or whatever it may be. And if you're able to hang out, then just simply watching TV together can really make a big difference, and I've seen that in older people too. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because that is something I think is a big thing, because sometimes, man, just that one, I'm here for you if you need me, can make all the difference.
Big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, and there are times where, we're exhausted. All we want to do is lay in bed and cry. And the next, and I have those days, those days have happened. Yeah. The next day I get up and it's a brand new day. I think the worst thing to do is just be a pity party, just, for yourself, because what is that helping? What is that going to do for you? I try to control my stress, because I do believe in energy and, and more stress and anxiety I can create more, toxic stuff in you.
Exactly. Balance. Yeah. It's about finding that balance. And could you talk more about the blog that you have? Because earlier you were saying that, like, even though everyone's on their own journey, and because, like, with cancer and chronic illness, it's different from everybody. Like, everyone's going through something very different, and it's so easy to have misconceptions about, like, cancer is just like people, you just fit in a box. Like,
sure.
Like, cancer, you're supposed to look sick, you're supposed to, like, be old. But with this blog that you have, you share your journey and other people share their health journeys, and it's a way of bringing that support, for each other. And at the same time, like, even though you're all going through different journeys, you're still supporting each other. So are you able to talk more about what your blog is? What is Caring Bridge, and, like, what's the platform and what you share on that?
So, it's funny. It started out as a way of, I am so sick of constantly repeating myself about what I'm going through. And I just wanted a way of, here it is. If you want to read it, this is what's going on with me, because, the energy of constantly repetitive, and when it is negative,
it's exhausting.
It's exhausting.
And then everybody's like, oh, and you're assuring them, you're having to make them feel better about your condition.
Right, exactly. And I wanted it to be my personality, which is funny and it can be silly and I'm very quirky and, and I was trying to find a website, and I went through different websites, and I'm like, this is too much work. I was going through just sort of radiation. I'm like, this is exhausting. I just want something easy. And I came across Caring Bridge, which my cousin had a blog on that my aunt made for him. And I looked back on that and I said, this is very easy. And this is also a way for people to keep in touch and write on the guest book. If they want to do a donation, they can, to something like a fund, but that's not even really what it was about. I just wanted to keep everybody in the loop at once. And I added pictures, I think one of the first pictures when I first had radiation and I had to get one of those little gowns, and I put a little like sticker emoji of me as a cat, like even in the darkest things, you can find little silly things. Yeah, like I said, it was just a way of, this is what is going on. This is, so this is exactly what's going on. These are the details, step by step of what's been going on. It's a way of how, just to get my feelings out. And my parents, especially my dad, always said I'm a really good writer, and I really enjoyed it. And there was no pressure to every single week to keep up. It was when I was ready to do it.
Yeah.
Even now, I haven't updated it. I think I need to update that. I got a port put into me, because I have no veins when they would do the IV, and so I finally did a port in my chest. I'm a little bit bionic woman now.
I love it. That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about your main man, Ben. I just want to share a little bit of that love with the audience, because
You mean my parents' dog?
Yes.
Oh, Beanie. So even though I refer to him as mine, he's my parents' dog. He's my dog brother. Ben is, oh my gosh, I don't remember how old is he is. Oh, my parents are gonna correct me right now. But he's a golden doodle, and he is the love of my life. He lives in Philadelphia with my parents. He is a character and a half. We have a very special relationship. So when I was living with my parents and going through treatment, Ben could somehow sense this. Dogs are amazing how they can sense when you're not feeling well, when something's wrong. I was staying on the third floor, and he would scamper up and lay in my bed with me, and just lay on my legs and just keep me company. And a lot of times, even though this is something he would never do before, he would come up and at midnight he'd come up and bark at my door just to make sure I was okay. Yeah, he's amazing.
That they have that sixth sense, I'm telling you. Like, we
Yes.
underestimate animals. So like my sister's dog, like she's 2 years old, and she's like a mixed like lab terrier, but she's 2 years old, she's tiny, but she acts like she's the boss of the house, like she could, they want to protect the family,
Yeah.
and just have that energy and just that support, and like they'll know, they have such good intuition. So I'm glad that you have that extra love, and that you have like those little things that make such a difference when someone's going through like a hard time.
Absolutely. And everybody's always, everybody says to me, why don't you get your own dog? And I said, I work.
It's a lot of work.
I work a lot of hours, which I don't mind. It's great, but dogs need that company, and they, and I wouldn't be able to give a dog a good life right now. So maybe in the future, maybe when I'm with somebody and we're living together, then, but for right now, no.
You and Jim have been junior. Alison, I want to ask you a serious question that
Sure.
I'm not trying to be controversial, but we've had this discussion a lot, and I think that it's important to talk about it. Talk a little bit about your experience with COVID and being immunocompromised and living in Florida.
Let me get comfortable here. So like I said, 2 months after I finished treatment, lockdown happened. I have never been so scared. That's when there were some dark days, because at that point we didn't have a lot of information. And if I had gotten COVID, there was a really good chance that, God forbid, I could die, because I also have had asthma since I was a little girl. So living in that fear, I don't like to live in fear, but it's scary. And then going back to Florida, where, it's not all of Florida. There's definitely a lot of people that are vaccinated, but, they're a lot more relaxed. It's really, really scary. And thankfully, I have people that understand that if they are not vaccinated, I can't be near them, or we both have to wear masks. And, thankfully they do understand that. And I got to a point where I can't control others and their choices. I can only control what I do. So I not only have both vaccines, I have all 3 boosters. I have everything you could possibly, I would only work nanny for families who were vaccinated, and were for that. It gets to, like I said, it gets to a point you can only control what you do. You can't control others. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It breaks my heart and makes me furious, but yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go into that.
Yeah. No, I just think that I think that, during that time, especially at the beginning, there was a lot of talk of, we have to protect the immunocompromised. And I feel like because not many people knew someone that truly fit, that they kind of just brushed it off. And I get it.
Yes.
Like, that's a normal human nature thing to do. And so, again, I don't want to be, whatever,
right.
But I just wanted to, like, here's a face, like, here's a beautiful face of an amazing young lady who, could have suffered immensely, or possibly, passed if you were to catch it. And it's just about compassion, which is, one of my core values. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up. But now let's talk a little bit about you being a nanny. And I realize that doesn't have anything to do with what we're actually talking about, but I have 3 kids, and they are alive because they are cute and human nature knows to make it that way. And because I spent a lot of time and money growing them and having them and raising them. And so that's why. But you choose to take care of other people's kids by choice, and you love it, and you're really good at it. So tell us a little bit, how did you get into nannying?
Oh my, and it's funny, the irony too, that I literally cannot have my own. Like, the irony that I've been doing this, I believe since nannying since I was 21. I've even done other childcare things as far as junior counselor. I have I worked in a kids educational toy store called Learning Express back in the day. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you how it started. I think I've been babysitting since I was 12, and it just kind of snowballed. And I love it. I love that you see these kids just learn. I've taught so many kids to love music. And I've heard feedback from parents that they've sang a song or learned instruments, and they learn from Allie. And it just makes you feel so good that you can really have such an impact in their life, even if they don't remember you as they grow up. But like I said, I have been doing this all my life. I worked at the Children's Museum called the Please Touch Museum in Philadelphia, way long ago. And then I couldn't even tell you how I just got into nannying, but I started, and I think my first job, I was probably not very good at it, and I probably got fired because, it's your first job as a nanny, you learn. And then with each family and each job, you learn more and more and more what will you accept, what you won't accept, and what you're worth, and that you're not a glorified babysitter.
Yeah.
But I truly love my job. I really do. I love the fact that I am making people's lives easier. It makes me so happy to help other people.
Yeah, it's obvious, I can see it, and I hear it when I talk to you, and when you were doing your recent search, hearing you talk about the different families, it's really neat, and you're such an incredible soul. I'm just so grateful
Thank
to
you.
know you.
Thank you.
And really appreciate, because you brought it to me, and I'm so glad you did, because again, I wouldn't have considered cancer awareness. Like, duh, everybody's aware of cancer, right? And
right.
But the stigma and the person of who's going through it, that awareness is not talked about a whole lot. So just really excited to share this with the world. And is there, I don't think I have any other questions, Samyuktha.
Yes. Thank you so much, Alison. Like, I've learned a lot,
Thank you.
like, especially like what you said. I don't have cancer. Cancer is not mine. I'm going through it. I'm experiencing it. So I think that is something like really powerful, and that I feel like can resonate with a lot of people. So thank you for being so honest and open with us. And I just sense a lot of optimism and resilience, and especially from someone like who this is this like your third time now, it seems like. Just
I lost track.
Yeah, with emotions, and also dealing with COVID, and like that is just like makes it even harder, and just so like, wow, it is very empowering to hear your story. And
Thank you.
yes, and is there anything, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the viewers, or any important points to leave our viewers with?
Well, one, I have not gotten COVID yet, and I will not get it. And I'm really proud of that, because you can live a normal life and not live in fear and still be careful. And so there's that balance, you don't want to be stuck in your house all day. That's not healthy. But you also, I haven't gone to a bar. I stick to farmers markets, and I wear a mask. So there's that balance. There is a book that I really wanted to recommend. I may have recommended to you, Angela. There is this incredible author that my dad has told me about, that I have read. Her name is Anita Moorjani, and her book is called Dying to Be Me. And anybody who is going through any kind of, doesn't even have to be cancer, any kind of fear or scared of something, this book will change your life. It has absolutely changed mine. And so I highly recommend that book.
Awesome. We love a good book rec, so thank you for that.
Yes. It's called Dying to Be Me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with that. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Well, Alison, again, a million thanks. This was awesome. I like Samyuktha said, I learned a whole lot, and I know that our audience has as well. Super, super excited to see you hopefully sometime, and just see where you go. I think that you have a lot in your future, and with nannying, but also with some advocacy and stuff. Your personality is too big to not. So I'm thrilled to see where you go with it, because I absolutely know.
Thank you. I'm not ready to go yet. I have way too many things that I still need to do.
Yeah, we don't want that to. Yeah, we do not want you to go anywhere.
Nope.
This was such a pleasure.
I
It was such
refuse.
a pleasure meeting you.
You too.
Awesome. Well, we will put any links, the link to the book or any other links that you would like to share with the audience in the comments.
Sure.
And so feel free to reach out to Alison and connect with her on her blog. That is all. We love all of you, and we hope that you all have the most amazing day. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.